Hey guys, welcome back. We're gonna now continue on with the e-vader controller as I'm trying to keep these videos short. Alrighty guys, so now that we got everything out, and then just as I suspected that we are going to have to make a custom bracket because obviously the one that came with the bike is super small, the one that we're going to put on is super huge. So I do have some sheet metal here, and we're going to put the controller on top of the sheet metal. We're going to make a trace outline and we're going to cut it. This is the sheet metal that I have, but you guys could use any one that you want. I mean, it's just ones I have laying around. This one has like little tiny holes on it, so it'd be perfect because we could just, you know, mark the holes and drill one of the holes a bit bigger to put the screws in. But if you guys don't have this one, you could also use regular sheet metal and just cut it to the size that you need. And then for that, you're going to have to drill the holes. We'll mark it, of course, to put the sheet metal on top of here, and we're going to secure it, and then we're going to secure the controller onto the sheet metal. Alright, so I want to go ahead and do that, and you guys do the same. Alright guys, I wanted to kind of show you this so you guys could see in reference point on how massive the controller is compared to the stock. Alright, so we still got the stock one obviously hanging there. Now I got the new controller, and you can already see, look at how massive this thing looks compared to that one. So we already know we're going to get so much power from this e-bike. And then obviously if I were to put it, you know, like this, I'll put it like lined up so you can see how much more bigger that is. Yeah, so this thing is ginormous compared to that, and I would say probably heightness, it would be about the same. They're the same, you know, height, so we should have no problem once we install this big bad boy on the bike. Alrighty guys, I'm over here at my second kind of bench. So I flipped over the controller, and here is my newly cut bracket that I made for it. And yeah, it's looking pretty good. I decided to sand it to get rid of all the, you know, the rust and everything, and it was painted on one side, so I decided to get as much of that paint off as possible. After that, I used isopropyl alcohol to clean all of the shavings and everything off, but I will be giving this aluminum a coat of black paint, so therefore it doesn't rust anymore or again. So anyhow, so we're gonna have it on here like so, probably maybe this way actually. And what am I going to do is I'm going to see where the holes are, and I'm going to mark it with my marker here. So I think out of this one, because it is, you know, it was a used sheet metal that I just had laying around, so it's not going to be perfect. I think I'll be able to mark out 3 out of the 4 holes to drill, because on one corner over here, it's not completed a completed corner, so I'm not sure if I'll be able to actually make a complete hole. Alright, so now that I already marked all of my holes right there, as you can see on each corner is marked. Now I'm going to go ahead and drill those holes. Then I'm going to come back over here and make sure that they line up. Once everything is lined up, I'm going to go ahead and then spray paint this bracket, or the sheet metal. Well, actually no, before we actually paint, we do need to go over to the bike and make the holes for that. So let's actually go over there now. Since we are going to be drilling the holes, I might as well mark all the holes. Alright, so here we are on the bike. Now let's go ahead and put the sheet metal over that area. Try to move this off to the side. Let's put that there. And there's some zip ties. Might have to trim those zip ties so we could not have those poking out. So I'm going to try to have this bracket just a little bit towards the bottom. I'll have the edge of this one up here, and having this bracket more towards the bottom, because obviously in this more bottom area there will be a lot more space. So right now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to try to center it as much as possible, and then once I have it centered, I will go ahead and mark my hole department, and there's pretty much almost on point, I would say. I'll go with this one over here, make this one just a little bit bigger on that one, and then obviously I'm gonna have to maybe make a fresh hole on this one right over here. I think that should make my top hole. And then for the bottom, again, just wanna measure it. I'm gonna mark it over here. This one is pretty much dead on center on the hole. Just gonna go ahead and make it a little bit bigger. And then I think I'll probably get away with another hole already set. Probably here. I just have to make this one just a tad bit bigger as well, maybe towards this side. Alright, so now we got our holes already set. We got 2 here at the bottom and 2 here all in the top. Alright, so now that we are all set and marked with our holes, let's go ahead and drill those out. And then go ahead and reposition everything back and make sure that everything lines up. Alrighty guys, I already got my thing already painted. As you can see, it's looking super good. On both sides. Alright, so next one I'm going to do is actually I'm going to put this bracket on first, and then we'll put the controller on top of it. Because if we were to put this on the bracket on the controller first, we're not going to be able to access those holes over here to get to the bolts to actually put them on the on the frame. So I'm going to pretty much use the bolts that I pretty much removed. And so I can put them here. Hopefully it focuses. So the bolts that came with the bike that we had removed originally, I'm going to put those back on. I'm going to see if I could find another two that kind of match or are similar, so I could have this thing on there more secure. If you happen to have some bolts, just try to go to your local hardware store and see if you can find another set of these guys. That way you could have a set of 4. And don't forget, on the controller itself, it does not come with extra bolts. The bolts that you saw in the package are for the top part of the controller. So you're going to have to find some bolts to actually attach that controller to the sheet metal. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and use this bolt that was the original from the bike and put it there. And it's up to you if you guys want to use a little bit of Loctite to actually secure the bolts. Even though this bike does not vibrate whatsoever. I mean, it may vibrate a little bit, but not enough for the bolt to actually come off. So I'll put one there. And then I'll put the other one down here. So I'm just gonna pretty much do this, guys, and then you guys do the same. Just make sure that you have everything all lined up and pretty much ready. I'm just gonna do it opposite from each other, and same thing with the other new bolts that I got. I'm doing it opposite from each other. So that's all I'm gonna do right now, and then after I do that, then I'll secure the controller, and I'll show you that once I get to that portion. Alrighty, so I just wanted to show you real quick before I put this onto the bracket that the screws I'm going to use are these. These are just what I had laying around in my toolbox, and I think these will be a good fit. As you can see, only a part of it is actually threaded and the rest is not. So, and these are fairly short enough to get into here. So I'm going to put this part on the bottom, as this is going to be the bottom side, and then this little nut is going to go on the top right over here. So that's the way I'm going to do it. You guys, find the way the best it's going to fit for your project. And yeah, all right. So I'm going to go ahead and put the controller onto the bike. Alrighty, as you can see, I already got the main bracket on the bike, and it's super sturdy, not going anywhere on that with those 4 bolts, which is perfect. All right, so now I'm going to grab my put my tools down real quick and the screws, and I'm gonna put it this way. You could put it however which way you want to do it for yourself, but I think I'm gonna put it this way. That way I have access to the cables, obviously from this side, in case I ever needed to do any repairs or anything. It will be on this side compared to the other side, which I'll still be able to get to. Yeah, so yeah, just gonna do it that way. Again, you could do it however you want to. If you want to flip it the other way, there is no right or wrong way to actually install this. So real quick, let me just go ahead and put one bolt in so you guys can see how I'm going to do it. Again, I'm going to put this little guy right over here through the bottom, and then the bolt will go to the top. So let me see if I can slide this thing up a little bit and get this thing in there. Alright, and then I'm going to go ahead and get this bolt on there. It's just going to be hand tightened for now until I actually get the other bolts in place. Alrighty guys, now here comes the fun part. Everything is already on there secure. I can see I can move the whole entire bike. That's how secure this thing is on there. So this guy is not going anywhere, and I'm glad I was able to find a use for those little bolts that I had just laying around. You do see a gap over here, and that's because of the head of bolts of the other one did stick out just a little bit, so it is pushing this up a little bit, but I may just try to bend it or just keep it. Other than that, there is a little bit of a corner here which I'll probably sand off or get my Dremel to chop it off, because I don't want to be working on my bike and then get cut over here, as that's a sharp corner. But anyhow, all right, now it's time to attach the wire harness for this controller. And let me see if yeah, so in the controller part, you'll see that this thing would only go in one way. Now Let me go ahead and see if I can kind of zoom in and focus a little bit. Right about there. Now you're going to see that there's these two little tiny notches right up here on the top, and that's going to correspond with the ones on the inside of the controller. As this, like I said, this will only go one way. So those notches will have to go in with the splines that are inside, because if you try to do it the other way, it will not go inside. And then just go ahead and put it on until you hear the click. So I'm going to go put it in. It's going to go in like this. Oh, you can see the splines here with those holes right there. There we go. So you can see the little notched out areas on this plug. So when we put it in over here, go ahead and zoom in. You guys can see that it's only going to go in one direction. Those have to line up with what's on the controller. Okay. So make sure when you put it in, make sure you're careful when putting. You definitely don't want to bend any pins on this controller. So go in carefully and then just push it all the way in until you hear the click. Give it a little bit of a tug. It's not going anywhere. It's in there secure. So now we're going to go ahead and put our rubber boot over it. Alright. Alright guys, so that's pretty much going to conclude this portion of the video. Stay tuned for the next one.